Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Business Talk, a podcast presented by Business West and sponsored by Greenfield Cooperative Bank. I'm Joe Bednar, the editor of Business West, and we've got a great guest on today. It's Suzanne Parker. She's the executive director of Girls Inc. of the Valley, and it's so good to have you back on the podcast.
It's great to be back. Thank you.
So these are great times for Girls Inc. I know you had recently had a celebration for your new facility. Can you tell me about what that was and maybe kind of talk about what that project has been like over the last few years?
Well, I think people have been hearing about this project for a while because back in September 2020 is when we first made an offer on our forever new program home and headquarters. So it's been a long journey, and our renovations finally came to an end in the fall. So we've been waiting, making sure our donor signage is up and really honoring all the people that helped make it happen. So we had an incredible celebration. It was like an open house. But what was really fantastic about it was we had Girls Inc. VIP tour guides.
Mm,
So the girls themselves were showing off the space, talking about the programs that they do in the different parts of the building. And it was just really exciting. We had a great turnout, great celebration, really thanking everybody that helped make it happen, but just showing off the space too. We have this wonderful forever program home and headquarters in Holyoke now, which positions us throughout the valley and Hampton County.
it's fantastic. Um, and as we mentioned, this kind of started about 5, 6 years ago. Tell me why you needed a new space and kind of where you were before and how this evolution has really benefited the kinds of programming you can do.
It's a great story and it's a long story. So I started, believe it or not, almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
And when I started, there was a picture of a building vision that they were going to build literally 20 years ago. And I say they, it was the organization before I started there. But what a challenge was they didn't have a location. They didn't actually have where it would be built or even,
Mm,
quite frankly, the finances to do it. So it kind of put on a big pause and a big hold. But we were leasing space month to month. Actually, it wasn't lease, it was month to month renting at Open Square. So we knew that wasn't really sustainable in the long term.
sure.
We also had a long term, beautiful space connected to the Boys and Girls Club in Holyoke that was coming to an end, and the clock was ticking. It was going to be 2023. And they also needed the space. And so when the pandemic happened, we realized, we weren't, it didn't make sense for us to maintain that location as well. So we kind of handed it back to the Boys and Girls Club. They've made great use of that space, but then we needed to secure our own location. So fortunately, 480 Hamden, the old O'Connell's, Daniel O'Connell's and Sons company that'd been there for 150
Yeah.
years, that building came up for sale again. And it was owned by an attorney group for a couple of years in between there from 2018 to 2020, and it was really the perfect location for us. It's a great visibility, over 16,000 square feet, a beautiful backyard. It really met all of our checklists for the space.
So when you settled on that property and determined that was going to be where you'd move, what kind of work needed to go into it? And tell me about the campaign that sort of supported all of that.
Right. So before we even knew what building we were going to focus on, we knew we had this issue of needing to find secure a final location for ourselves
Yeah.
or a forever home. So we actually launched Her Future, Our Future right around 2017,
Mm,
2018.
okay.
We didn't even know what building was gonna, what the project was gonna be, but we knew we were gonna have a facility project. And so we set a goal of raising $5 million in total, but 3 million of that was going to be towards a building project.
Gotcha.
So we got started 2018, 2019. We had wonderful initial results on that campaign. And then, of course, what happened? 2000, let's just say January, February, March 2020. So we put the campaign on a pause. But then what happened during that year, fortunately for us, was this building became available.
Mm,
And so even though we were on pause, the world shut down, I went to see that building again. We were so excited about it. But after we made an offer, it took a year to do all the due diligence because we needed to make sure, is it going to meet all the space requirements? So we had this incredible architect, Kuhn Riddle Architects, Ilan Tierney and her team were amazing to do all the design work. Where were all the kids and the programs going to be, and was it going to meet all our needs? And then what was it going to cost? So we did a lot of cost estimating as well. So a year later, we purchased the building in fall of 2021. I still remember exactly where I was when I got the call, like it was going to go through. But it was a lot of work. Were we going to have the money available? afford the renovations because it needed significant renovations. It's
Sure.
a wonderful historic building. It's very prominent in the city of Holyoke, and had a lot of significance. So we really wanted to do the renovation and the building justice,
Sure.
which I think we did.
And it was kind of a phased opening, right? I mean, there was
Mhm.
a couple milestones along the way to
Mhm.
where you wound up last month.
Yeah, so that first year of the project, again, getting the due diligence and the design work and the cost estimating and really thinking about, do we have enough funds to get into the building, purchase the building, at least renovate enough to secure the envelope of the building, the brickwork, the roof, make sure it's not leaking. And we had to have program space for the kids.
Sure.
So the first phase was about a $3 million renovation, and we worked with Western builders on that. They were great to work with. And we did first floor program space. So it was the all the brickwork, the exterior, taking care of the building, making sure, if we're going to renovate, then there's not a leaky roof after that.
Sure.
So it was a lot of work. If anyone drove by the building at that time, they probably would have seen a moat around the building because we had to go below grade and make sure things weren't leaking. But so after that first phase, we were actually able to move into the building and use space that first summer. What a glorious day that was. We greeted and cheered children as they were coming down the driveway, and we have this beautiful entrance that's just for our participants, that's welcoming, and then we had some space. But by the end of that first summer, we were already like, oh, we need more space.
Was this around 2023?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I should have brought that
I
exact
just
timeline. It's all, some of it's a blur, but actually getting kids into the space that first summer was incredible. And it was also the summer where like, how does how does that work? How does this work? Making sure all the systems are working, but amazing. So we then had a pause. We had a small little phase B. It was a sort of, we had some specific funding to do. It was like a little bathroom on the second floor, but then we weren't sure how were we going to finish the building. We had second floor program space and some additional work on our offices. And fortunately, with the incredible support of Congressman Neal, Senator Warren, Senator Markey, we were able to secure some federal funding
That's great.
for the project. So that really got us to say we can finish this
Yeah.
building. So there was a pause in between, and finally October of this past year, the final renovation part of the project was done. We still have some furnishings, we still have some dreams and hopes for the backyard, like a greenhouse and some additional things, but the renovations are now completed.
So what do people see when they step inside? What kind of specific spaces you have in there? What kind of programming
Mhm.
can you do right inside the building?
Yeah. I actually gave the tour a tour this morning to some people that used to work in the building.
Oh, cool.
And I made them go through the participant entrance because the first thing you're going to see is this wonderful welcome center. I want kids to know that the space is for them. They're welcome. They're greeted by friendly, welcoming faces. But to the left, there is what we call our cafe. And it's not like a home kitchen, but also not like a school cafeteria. It's a
Mm,
really special place where they can gather, have healthy snacks, meals. It's a great kitchen, has a really big, sort of like a big island where the kids can learn how to make pasta or make fruit salads. They can do cooking activities
that's
as
great.
well as enjoy a meal and snacks together. So they have a beautiful, what we call our cafe. On the first floor, we have quite a large space that's just for our younger kids, and we call this our bold base. The bold base is for our bold beginners, and those are our 5 to 10-year-olds. And there's plenty of space. They've got cubbies where they can put their things. And it's just this beautiful, vibrant place. Every program area is filled with natural light. That was one of my checklists for the facility. I wanted to make sure we had windows, natural light coming in. And from that space, there's a doorway right out to the backyard. So they can go right outside to a deck, right out to a beautiful grassy, safe play area. It's all fenced in, which is amazing because we didn't have that in our other location. We literally just had a paved parking lot
Mhm. Yeah.
near our open square offices and teen center. So that's beautiful space. On the second floor, we have what we call our Thrive Hive, and that's for our teens. It is the coolest space. That's like one of I think my favorite space. It's got this really great kind of cathedral ceiling, kind of the industrial look. But it's just for our older teens. We've got lockers in there for them. We also have a maker space.
Hmm.
We've got 3D printers, lots of crafts, hands-on activities. So there's lots of great space. There's a community room. I'm going to go on and
Oh,
on.
good,
I'm
please.
going to go on and
I want to hear
on.
about all of it.
Okay. There is a beautiful community room. Actually, it's the People's Bank Community Room. They were one of our first early supporters out there. And it's a space we actually had, I would say, close to 100 people there at our event, and we were able to
Nice.
have 85 chairs. And so it's a wonderful space that we can hold meetings, community events, family events, but also programming. There's
That's
a
great.
there's a wall at the end. We've got a mirror. The kids love dancing, TikToks, and yoga, all of those things. So it's a really great space. We have a learning library center. We have kids that are working on their college applications and their scholarships. They can do help their homework in there. So plenty of programming space. It's really, really amazing. And then in addition to that, we have our offices. And so we have kids there every day after school. But in addition, we have a great school partnerships.
Mm,
So we have schools in Springfield, Chicopee, and ideally in Holyoke as well, where our staff go out to those schools to deliver Girls Inc. programming.
okay.
So this building is a program hub, but also a hub for our staff. Yeah.
It's amazing. You're listening to Business Talk, a podcast presented by Business West and sponsored by Greenfield Cooperative Bank. We're speaking today with Suzanne Parker, the Executive Director of Girls Inc. of the Valley. For folks who don't know, and I'm sure a lot of people kind of have an idea what goes on there, but what is the model? I mean, what what is the Girls Inc. experience? I know you kind of talked about some of it
hmm
just by talking about some of the space you have,
hmm
but what are you trying to accomplish, and what are some of the programs and activities that kind of get you there?
hmm So I think a lot of people actually don't know this, but Girls Inc. is actually there's a national organization and
Yes,
there are affiliates across the country, and there's 7 in Massachusetts, and we're so fortunate to have one here right in the valley.
sure.
I think we're fortunate anyways. So our mission is to inspire girls to be strong, smart, and bold. And we have ages from 5 to even past high school up to ages 24 with some of our programs for alumni. So we call the Girls Inc. experience that for this reason. It involves 3 key things: people. We have the most amazing trained staff in youth development. They are excellent mentors and coaches to the girls and participants that come in, and that we think that's really, really important and what helps distinguish us from other programs.
Sure.
The environment, the space that they're in is very pro girl. We want girls to come in, know that they belong there. It's a space for them. They can take risks. They feel safe. So that environment is so important. And then the programs. So we have this. We really want to make sure it's hands on, minds on. It's very active. It's not
Mm,
like somebody just lecturing about what they should be learning, but they're learning by doing. Actually, I'm thinking about the backyard right now at the new building. There are these beautiful wooden, really cool modular benches. And they did that. That was a project that our teens did with UMass Design Build students.
oh wow.
They designed it, they picked a project, and then they actually built it. So they're learning, design skills, math skills, trade skills even.
Yeah,
So it's a great example of like that Girls Inc. experience. Supportive adults working with them on that. So throughout Girls Inc. Again, it's that Girls Inc. experience, but we have a range of different programs. So we're fortunate that we are part of a Girls Inc. National organization, and we have these incredible identity programs. So if you think about our mission is strong, smart, and bold, we have programs for strength. So if you think about health and wellness,
sure.
so we do a lot around adolescent sexuality education, mind and body awareness, nutrition, healthy decision making. And for smart, we do a lot around science, technology, engineering, math, of course, academics, and helping support them. And then bold is really about that personal
Mm,
development. We hear from, hopefully their future employers, what they're really looking for is people that can make good decisions and have critical thinking skills. So we do a lot around leadership skills, public speaking, communication skills, team building. So that when you put it all together, the strong, smart, and bold, it's about kids having opportunities to develop to their full potential, and that's our goal.
One program we've talked about it before, and I'd love to talk about it because it's just I think it's so important. Is it's called Eureka,
Hmm.
and it's a STEM focused program, and it's very forward looking. Can you tell our listeners about that because I just really I think that's yeah.
Yeah. So Eureka's going into its probably 13th,
Wow.
14th
Okay.
summer. It's amazing. It's an incredible partnership with the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, the College of Natural Sciences, and other departments. And that is a focus primarily on science, technology, engineering, and math opportunities to expose girls to those types of fields. But it also involves the personal development and also the health and wellness aspect.
Sure.
So it's a 5-year program, and actually, we're recruiting kids now for a summer. I think there's a few spaces left for this summer. And we really literally pick up the girls, they get on buses and they go to UMass Amherst for a period of 3 or 4 weeks during the summer. And they get to do hands-on engaging science, technology, engineering, and math workshops at UMass in these incredible facilities with amazing volunteers, the professors and the postdoc students and the doctoral students. It's really quite amazing. Examples of some of the workshops they would do is the actual physics of tree climbing. So they're learning physics, but they literally get to put those harnesses on
Oh
and
wow.
experience tree climbing, or they're learning the science and chemistry of baking by working with the chefs and learning about the yeast and the science part of it. So it's hands on
Theory and practice together.
practice. I
Yeah.
mean, they've done working on brain science and neuroscience and talking about sheep's brain. I mean, it's incredible the workshops they do. They go to the athletic center. One of the favorite parts is they get to eat in the dining commons, the award-winning dining commons. But that partnership is amazing. So the kids are in this program for 5 years. 2 years they're on the campus during the summer with at UMass. We do externships, a lot of college and career readiness. So they're graduating with high school and hopefully moving on to college and or career, but feeling really confident. And I've got a great story to share
Sure.
if you'd love to
Please.
hear it. So one of our scholars who went through Eureka, and she talks about um, doing a coding activity with Holyoke Codes and also with the Eureka program. So she was learning, computer coding. She's now getting her master's in data science at Bay Path
That's
University,
awesome.
has her bachelor's degree, even has a copyright or something that she's done. I can't explain it. It's amazing what she's doing. She's now coming back and supporting us. She's going to be on our board of directors. So
Wow.
it's sort of that full circle moment. But she talks about that experience that she had, the opportunity to learn about coding and computers while she was at Girls Inc. And so that's a pretty powerful example of when you provide opportunities, where you don't know where that will lead to, but hopefully it leads to kids thriving.
I don't know if you've told me this or if I'd read it somewhere, but there's an impact from your programs on high school graduation,
Hmm.
on college enrollment, kind of above the average of I guess
Hmm.
normal of the general population.
Hmm.
That's got to be gratifying, not just to know the numbers, but to see it come to fruition in real life examples
Hmm.
just like that. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's a great example. I mean, I was a first generation college student in my family, and my parents loved me dearly, but they really didn't have a sense of how to help guide me in the
Mm,
college search or that process. I was really kind of almost left to my own. Now I ended up going to college and I did well, but I don't. I think back sometimes if I had a Girls Inc.,
hmm.
what that have been like. And so I think that having that experience where you can be in a program for 5 years, we do take kids on college tours. We help them navigate that application process. I think those opportunities help increase the likelihood that they're going to be able to move on and get through this, that period of challenging times when you're a teenager in
Sure.
high school,
Yeah.
right? So I think that type of experience definitely increases the likelihood that they're going to be able to navigate that journey to college because it's a journey. It's a journey
Oh
to
yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
So.
It just what you just said just brought to mind something else about the years that they're in the high school years, and it's like when I was looking at the Girls Inc. Bill of Rights, I think it was on the
Hmm.
website, and talks about the right to just I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but like, to help girls like be themselves and take risks and just autonomy and all that. It just seems like at that time in life when we have not just peer pressure, but such exacerbated peer pressure from social media and other influences these days, that's so important to kind of guide girls in that direction of you can be yourself and you can
Hmm.
succeed on your own terms. And that's got to be cool to oversee.
Yeah, it's an amazing privilege to be able to provide these kinds of experiences and opportunities to the girls that are in our programs. Um, but I have to say, the past few years have been really challenging for teens and girls and youth in general.
Hmm.
The impact of lots of things going on in the world, but primarily the impact of social media
Sure.
and technology. In some ways it's incredible, right? It opens up worlds and
Yeah.
opportunities, so really positive. But there's a lot of research right now on the effects of mental health, and we're seeing that in our programs. For the past couple of years, we've seen some increased behavior challenges, just navigating relationships. So if anything, the programs like Girls Inc. are even more important than ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've added, fortunately, the past couple of years, we've been able to secure some additional funding for mental health supports. And so we have a great partnership with River Valley Counseling. So we actually have a therapist that comes to our building, works with our staff, and works with our students to help provide that additional support, which is so needed. The other thing that I'm really excited about is Girls Inc. headquarters is launching in partnership with another organization a program called Control the Scroll, and it's helping girls understand how to be aware of maybe they're looking at the wrong things or they're spending too much time on their phone. We don't expect the kids are going to completely put them away, although that would be nice and really helpful, but that's going to be a big challenge. But helping them understand more critically, being aware of their usage, being aware if they're using their devices, are they using it in a way that is productive or is it harming their mental health? And that just increasing that awareness, we think will help a lot. So we're excited to be launching and offering that program to probably to schools and other programs, and that's new this year. We're very excited about that.
I think of things like agency for young women. Have ha have the participants in the program over the years sort of been contributors to how what is offered and how the programs evolve? And I'm sure you're talking with them
Hmm.
to kind of determine what their needs are, and
Hmm.
how Girls Inc. can better reflect that, right?
Yeah, we have a group of teens. It's called our Teen Advocacy
Okay.
Board, and they are right now working on advocacy projects that they design. They talk about what they want to focus on, and they're going to be traveling to St. Louis this summer and meeting with affiliates, girls from other affiliates across the country on a leadership summit. And so we involve youth in all ways of our program. So picking projects that they want to work on. We've had youth say, we want to raise money for a different organization. We really care about whether maybe it's domestic violence. And so they would put a project together for that, raise money, and actually donate it to another organization. The building itself, we have so much, when we walk around the building, we have a lobby area that the teens actually worked with our architects on the layout of
Oh, really?
how would the accessible ramp go and should we lay this out. Of course, they also wanted a rooftop garden. We didn't manage to do the rooftop garden.
Can't have everything.
Exactly. But the donor wall that we ended up our final design was all the teens. They worked with the graphic designer who happened to be a Girls Inc. alumna as well. On that design, that donor wall is completely because of the impact of the influence of the teens. It was incredible. And so they really they influence almost everything that happens at Girls Inc. We have alumni that are on our board of directors. And so they have a lot of voice and a lot of agency.
It's fantastic. Just about out of time. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you think is relevant to the conversation or you'd like to share with our audience about Girls Inc. or the campaign or the building or anything
Yeah.
going on? Or
Well, I would love to talk about the fact that in this building, right, that is now done, one of the things that's really exciting is we are licensed by the early education and care department in Massachusetts, which is a really big deal. It talks about the quality of our program. It meets all of those amazing requirements, and we have an incredible summer program that we are relaunching because the renovations last summer we couldn't have programs happening in the building. So now we're relaunching our summer program. So if families are interested, I'm sure there's still maybe a few openings. So people should definitely reach out to us if they're interested in either Eureka for their older teens, if you have a seventh grader that's finishing up and we're looking for a summer program. Also for our younger kids, we have a program called Eureka Junior this summer. So people should definitely reach out to us and see if we have some space.
Awesome. I'll close with a question I think I asked verbatim last year, but I like it, so I'm going to ask it again. You were recognized by Business West back in 2019 as a woman of impact. It's got to be gratifying now to be in a position where you're helping girls and young women, maybe possibly impact the world down the line, and that's got to be something that you're grateful for every day, I imagine.
Well, you're gonna make me a little bit emotional there to think about
Didn't
that.
mean to.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and as I think about the next couple of years, I think the most important thing I can do right now is really focusing on securing, sustainability of the organization. And this building project was huge for it,
Yeah,
right? Like this is now the Fever home. It's not something that's somebody coming in after me is going to see a picture on the wall going, "Oh, that's a dream. That's never going to happen."
yeah.
But we've got the building now. Now we need to really think about how we strengthen the organization as we move forward. And that's, increasing the numbers of kids that we're reaching, the numbers of girls that we're reaching, making sure we're, financially stable and solid as we move forward. And that's exciting.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and talking with us today. You've been on before, and I always appreciate the conversation. And as a Business West, we've really admired the work of Girls Inc. of the Valley over the years. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And thank you all for listening to Business Talk, a podcast presented by Business West and sponsored by Greenfield Cooperative Bank. I'm Joe Bednar, the editor of Business West, and we'll see you next time.